Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
The drugs from my generation, I'll take the fall. The state, across the nation, and it's a sin. The guns, the fake, the fraud, the messing with me. Come on, let's get it on.
All right, welcome to another week. It is Tuesday. It is the middle of September. I don't know how that happened. But we are here. It's the Whole 1005 podcast. I'm Brandi, also known as Ryan Taylor Girl. I'm a wrestling freak. I'm still on a hangover from King of Trios last weekend. And my other half of this Tuesday Night Titans team we got going on is, of course, my lovely boyfriend.
Robbie S. I'm a certified gamer, bona fide wrestling fan, and I've managed to pull myself away from Super Mario Maker just long enough to do this podcast, so good on me, right?
Just long enough, although I'm really excited. Yay! Our producer Keith is always on top of the sound effects, and we love it. Because I really want to do a Skype with him where I get to see you actually play the Super Mario Maker, because it sounds really awesome.
Yeah. I don't know if it's my favorite game of the year yet, but it's definitely the most fun I've had with anything related to Mario. Like, just creating all these levels. I've created 2 full ones, and I'm working on my 3rd, so we'll see how that goes.
Yes. So, it's kind of been a bit of a slow week. We're kind of plodding, meandering into Night of Champions. We're not going to talk about Raw, because quite frankly, there wasn't anything to talk about.
Well, there were some things to talk about, but by and large, it was a very uneventful show, especially given the fact that it was touted as the season premiere of Monday Night Raw. Which,
what both of us are perplexed by is if you're a show that's on year-round, how do you have a season?
I don't know. I'm assuming they're trying to compete with football, but I think they've seen a small spike in ratings from this past Raw, but nothing that could warrant the season premiere of Raw.
No, and I get a lot of the fall shows are starting to come in. I watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. Don't laugh at me because I'm a nerd. And they had the season premiere because they've been on syndication all summer. But Raw is never on syndication, although sometimes it feels like it.
You need some ice for that burn, WWE?
Feel the burn. Bernie Sanders, 2K16, bitches. Sorry, I had to get a political plug in there somewhere. But yeah, the season premiere, otherwise known as the go-home edition for Night of Champions, that'll be on Sunday. I don't even think we're going to do we talked about it last week. I don't think we really need to give a lot of information. It was signed for Kevin Owens versus Ryback for the Intercontinental Championship.
Which we predicted, I think.
I think we did.
And also there's the pre-show match, which is going to be Neville and Lucha Dragons versus Stardust and the Ascension, a.k.a. Cosmic Wasteland. So that's going to be taking place during the 1-hour pre-show before Night of Champions officially kicks off.
Which I never got the need for, but I would actually tune in for that match because I'm a fan of Neville. And, of course, the Cosmic Wasteland.
Fan of all these guys. They could do well in this spot, even though I do feel Neville and Stardust in particular deserve better.
They do, and hopefully, they can really do something with what little they're given.
And they're not given much, let's be fair.
No, they really aren't. So make the best with what you got, So let's see what else is there. We were going to talk about NXT because they've recently started off. They had the first couple weeks of the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic that was announced. Now, from what I'm seeing with how my favorite news website breaks it down, is there's basically 4 brackets. Bracket A saw Enzo Amore and Colin Cassidy. How you doing? Taking on Angelo Dawkins and Sawyer Fulton.
They soft.
So soft that they didn't
Chicken
make
tenders.
it past. They didn't even make it past the first round of this tournament. Finn Balor, the NXT champion, teaming up with Samoa Joe to take on the Lucha Dragons, coming back down from SmackDown. Finn Balor and Samoa Joe obviously won because the Lucha Dragons just kind of fly in and fly out for the when we need you. We had the Vaudevillains, your new NXT Tag Team Champions, taking on Wesley Blake and Buddy Murphy.
Oh, and it looks like we lost Brandi. Rob, are you still there?
Yeah, I think her connection kind of went out.
It's gone. It's gone.
Oh, F.
So while we attempt to get the call back here, what's on the old agenda in the Sutter household as far as the,
I don't know. I'm still using my LTE as far as connections go, calls go, because I tend to find that's a little more reliable than my router. I don't want to get kicked off Skype and ruin everything.
It's so amazing how, in this day and age, we have all this wonderful technology, and a breeze blows the wrong way, and it all comes crashing down.
Yeah, you would think that, as technology progresses, it'd be a lot more stable. For example, the iPhone will crack if you just tip it over, and yet my Nintendo 64, you could drop a TV on it and it will still function. So, I don't know what to tell you.
Those were the days. And they're still trying to get Brandi back. So, I was distracted. I was doing producer stuff in the background here. So, what's next on the wrestling horizon here?
I believe there are a couple more matches to announce as far as the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. There is another announcement as far as a newcomer to NXT.
So how does that work? I mean, because I'm not the biggest wrestling fan.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, NXT is more or less WWE's developmental territory where they train wrestlers. Well, either train newcomers or they bring in established talents and they sort of get them prepared for WWE's own style, because different promotions have different styles that they work. So what happens is they come in, they're taught, how to wrestle uniquely in relation to that company. They're taught promos, camera work, all that kind of stuff. So it's more or less this full service training plan, and then NXT serves as their television show, which airs on Wednesday on their WWE network.
So I guess from being a layman or whatever, so obviously we know that the outcomes of the matches are somewhat predetermined, correct?
Of course.
So watching it now, is it kind of like just the ultimate reality show? Is that your mindset when you're watching this, or?
Honestly, I kind of look at it in the same way that I would look at maybe Breaking Bad or Arrow, in the sense that it's a performance. It's live action sports basically, and yeah, it's not legitimate sports like mixed martial arts or baseball or football might be, but at the same time, I know that there's a lot of work that goes into these performances. Mm-hmm. I suspend my disbelief enough to where I can get lost in the shows and just be a fan. I think that's probably the best way to put it. It's not a sport, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, compelling storylines. And with that, Brandi is back on the line.
I'm back. I had a momentary internet where I'm just like, nope, we're not going to work. we'll actually get to the compelling and not so compelling storylines. That was actually our thought for the night. Where were we?
Where were we? We were at the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. I believe we were going to. We had just discussed Finn Balor and the Lucha Dragons. I believe the next one that they highlighted was Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson defeating Elias Sampson and Tucker Knight in those highlights.
Right. So are they still doing the mechanics deal?
Yeah, Dash Wilder and Scott Dawson. You know, Southern pride, Southern bred.
Seriously, give those boys a better gimmick. Bracket C, which is the next group, was Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder, who are known as the Hype Bros, took on another squash team of Noah Kakoa and Alexander Wolf.
Mm-hmm.
And you also had Jason Jordan begrudgingly teaming up with Chad Gable to take on the very interesting team of Neville and Solomon Crow.
I guess Solomon Crow is just going to be drifting for a while.
Unfortunately, well, at least he dodged the bullet with the whole Zara thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm glad they skipped over that.
Yeah, they could have easily just repackaged him into something else. Oof.
I think they should just let him basically be Sami Callihan, but dialed back enough for PG, and call him Solomon Crow and be good with it. Because the Sami Callihan character was very attention-grabbing. He was very, very good at really getting in with the audience. So,
of course.
Bracket D saw the weirdish team of Rhino and NXT's resident Wolfman, Baron Corbin, taking on the Ascension. They also had the indie team of Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa taking on the rather strange tag team of Tyler Breeze and Bull Dempsey.
And you thought that Gargano and Ciampa were going to lose.
I did, because they're not signed to the WWE. So why would they win?
Well, a bit of miscommunication between Breeze and Dempsey allowed the indie darlings to pick up the win. And it does seem like you're going to get your Beauty and the Beast storyline after all. It's just...
The wrong beast.
Yeah, so A for effort.
A for effort, D for execution, because when Robbie says it's the Beauty and the Beast storyline I've been wanting for ages, there was a way back in earlier this year that either they had a match where it was Marcus Louis, who of course unfortunately lost all his hair and his eyebrows in the hair versus hair match in which Sylvester Lafort lost against Enzo Amore, and Marcus Louis got dunked in the hair loss cream and lost all of his hair.
And his eyebrows.
And his eyebrows. And Tyler Breeze would make fun of him, saying he was just an uggo and a monster. And at the NXT TakeOver after that, Marcus Louis had disappeared for a while, and he came back, and you could see him in the back of Full Sail looking through the curtain during Tyler Breeze's match. So I've been waiting for months for my Beauty and the Beast storyline with Tyler Breeze and Marcus Louis.
I saw that shot, and it looked like something out of Slender, that video game, Slender, where it has Slender Man, and you have to sort of navigate to get away from him or try to avoid him. That's what it felt like. It makes you shit bricks.
And so I've been waiting. So when Robbie says this is my storyline, I'm like, no, it's the wrong beast, because I don't like Bull Dempsey. He's boring. And quite frankly, WWE has too many larger men who aren't that talented. And I'm not talking about Kevin Owens, because Kevin Owens is a larger man and extremely talented. I'm talking about guys like The Big Show, or as we like to call him, The Big Slow.
I like to call him a waste of talent, but okay.
Or a Snorlax.
Don't compare Snorlax. You better apologize to Snorlax for that rude-ass remark.
I'm sorry, Snorlax.
Thank you.
At least Snorlax would at least have some form of momentum in a match. He would just fall asleep on top of you. But that's what I've been waiting for, and to have them do the
Well, she's just gonna have troubles all night.
Oh, again.
I can see this becoming a recurring theme. So while we try to get her on, let's take a break right now, and we'll try to get Brandi back on a stabilized connection. You're listening to the Hold 1005 show on Late Night Sports Radio.
Baby, you're a mystery. Tell me what's a girl gotta do? Looking at the history doesn't seem to give any clue. Just when I think I understand it all, you seem to unravel some more. Ooh, I never know nobody like you.
Who the hell can wait till morning? Talk now at latenightsportsradio.com.
And though I may be lost in the perils of shoddy internet connections tonight, we are back, and I'm on my AT&T 4G, so hopefully I won't die anytime soon anymore. How far did it go? Yay! I feel like that sound effect should accompany Bailey and her happy, silly, wavy guys. So
honestly, I think we've just about finished up the tournament.
Pretty much. Moving on to the rest of NXT, the name for the next NXT TakeOver special has been announced. It will be called Respect. And
NXT TakeOver Respect.
Triple H's tweet, he has somebody really good who writes his tweets. But more than money and fame, success is measured by one thing. At WWE NXT, hashtag NXT TakeOver Respect is live only on the WWE Network October 7th, 2015, which of course will be main evented by a 30-minute Iron Woman match, which will have Bayley defending her NXT Women's Championship against Sasha Banks.
And the main focus of that feud has been, in a word, respect. Which is very apropos.
Very apropos. I think it's going to be very, very good. Also, NXT recently signed a Japanese wrestling sensation, Kana, and it was revealed what her new name will be. Now, when I see the spelling and I see this, it makes me think it's pronounced Asuka, which makes me think of Rocky Romero's nickname, which is Azúcar, which is Spanish for sugar. So
yeah, I think it can be pronounced that way. I think it can also be pronounced Asuka, which is the formal Japanese pronunciation. Either way, the name itself translates to future. So very, very nice choice for a name.
It is, and the origin, the backstory is supposed to be a female wrestler in Japanese history, part of the Crush Gals tag team in the 1980s, and she was Lioness Asuka, so that could be why, and that's obviously a great throwback to, Kana's heritage and Japanese wrestling heritage, and so we'll have to see how she does, and I want to see how they pronounce it so I can say it right, because I see it and I think Azúcar, and I'm like, why are they calling her sugar? And why are we calling Rocky Romero sugar? I love you, Rocky, but why do we call you sugar?
I think I got sugar on the brain.
Probably. I had ice cream, so that could be it.
Yeah, no wonder you're so hyper today.
That only explains like the last hour.
Right? You've just been all uppity.
Oh, that's me, though. I'm all uppity. So before we get into our next topic of conversation, which will be the WWE storylines, we will touch on current TNA wrestler Kurt Angle. Kurt is currently still recovering from injury, and his official in-ring debut for TNA has been announced as October 3rd, which will be at a live event in Virginia. Mm-hmm. But he's also said officially when his TNA deal expires at the end of this year, he is not re-signing and that he's going to take some time off from wrestling, which leads us to believe that he's going to try and get himself ready for maybe one last WWE run to have his retirement there. Because
it would make sense. It would make sense because he did say that he'd be interested in one last match in that company.
One last match, one last little run, if it were. Because if you're going to come back, you can't just come back and have a match. You have to have something behind it.
Yeah, and let's be honest, Kurt Angle's days in the ring are pretty much numbered. The man is 46 years old, and on top of that, he's had many neck problems during his career. He's had his issues in relation to drugs and painkillers, which did not do him any favors. he is one of the best wrestlers. He's one of the best wrestlers of all time. Not just in terms of the in-ring work that he's been involved in, but promos and how well he carried himself as a character. So it's one of those cases where you want to see this man get some sort of rightful send-off, and what better way than a match in the company where he started?
Pretty much, yeah. Angle rocketed to fame back in the early stages of the Attitude Era, following the Monday Night Wars, and he was always just very intense, very 100% dedicated. But the man has a very lengthy history of injury, and especially with neck problems. I mean, the man won an Olympic gold medal with a broken freaking neck. So,
which we still recall to this day.
well, yeah, it was only 20 years ago almost, which makes me feel really old.
Yeah. You know what makes you feel even older? Consider the fact that Kurt Angle has been spending twice the time in TNA than he did in WWE.
Oh my god. Yeah, that makes me feel old. But, I can see that he's getting tired. I mean, at his age, especially with he works, the pace that he works, it's crazy on his body. So hopefully he retires and stays retired. Like, if you make the decision to retire, stay retired. Let's play our little game here, because our next conversation will be lengthy, and I will probably yell and or curse. So last week the hold to name was 589. Please, God, don't tell me. It looks like, darn it.
We lost Robbie. Did we lose Brandi as well?
We lost Robbie? Okay. So we'll go ahead. Hopefully we don't lose me as well. Well, this is about exactly at 7:38, 7:40 my time is when his internet goes haywire, like every night without fail.
Seriously?
So he probably left his Wi-Fi on. Yeah.
That's fascinating.
And this is after they got a new router.
That is so fascinating.
So he'll be back in a few minutes. He just has to have his nightly internet.
He's got to reset his
moment
router. He's got to reset his router.
But last week's move to name was 589, which was, as Vicky correctly guessed, the rope break. And she is now 15-0, which means that in 5 weeks, when she gets 5 more of these right, I'm going to have to do a video stream for you guys where I play Batman Arkham Asylum. 30 minutes. I don't play video games very much. I play a lot of, hidden object matching games because I like those, but I'm not so good at the other ones. So you'll have to see what I'm going to call basically a show where you have the most expletives you could ever imagine being squashed into 30 minutes, because I get easily frustrated. So there will be a lot of cursing going on. But in case you want to dethrone Vicky, if it were in this game of, we give you the hold number from Chris Jericho's list of 1,004 holds, you tell us what it is. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook. You can text me if you know me. Email it. Send us a letter in a bottle. Send us a telegram by pigeon. Send us a candygram. I love candygrams.
Land shark, whatever the case may be. I don't know.
There we go. Ravi's back. I had to tell the story about how almost exactly at this time every night your router has to have its moment.
Yeah, right now I'm on LTE, so it's a little weird on my part, but whatever the case may be, I'm here, and I'm here to to you about more wrestling and hear you go on about Arkham.
Yes, and it's going to be fun for you guys because you get to watch. It's not going to be fun for me. But the move to name this week is number 195. So if you know what move number 195 is, get at us on the Twitter at Hold1005 is the show. I'm at Ryan Taylor Girl. He has a Twitter, but he doesn't use it. So if you want to tell us other
No,
than
it's
on
better.
Twitter,
It's better they get to you.
you can find us on Tumblr. I'm Ryan Taylor Girl. He's the Reaper-89. Just let us know what it is. You can like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Hold1005 podcast. Let us know what move number 195 is. Otherwise, Vicky will be 16-0 next week, and we'll be just another week closer to Bedlam, which will be me trying to play a video game. So we decided we would talk about this week because next week we'll be covering results, and since next week we'll be podcasting on our 7-month anniversary, we're going to talk about legendary wrestling romances. But this week we want to talk about storylines.
Yes, we will.
Now, a lot of us older fans, and I'm not saying younger fans don't, but a lot of us older fans really like a good storyline that we can really identify with so that we can suspend our disbelief of people wrestling in glorified bathing suits and baby oil and pretending to hurt each other and actually get into it. And part of that is to have a good, compelling storyline that really draws you in. And a lot of WWE's problems have been lately in the past few years, the storylines have not really been that good at engaging, at keeping you interested because they're changing directions every week and they're changing things too fast.
It's a case of too many cooks in the kitchen.
Too many cooks in the kitchen, a lot of micromanagement. They see one reaction like, oh, we're going to change the whole thing because they're not reacting exactly the way we scripted. Because you can't predict people, but you have to be able to work with the ebb and flow of the people because every week they're in a new place. So they have new people that they're trying to get reactions out of. Therefore, you have the ebb and flow of people. You'll also have, in this day and age, social media to answer to, and there's hashtags, and there's people getting mad, and people ranting and raving and bashing everything. There isn't a lot going on in WWE right now that can't be fixed with a few tweaks because it's almost there. You just need to tweak it a little bit.
It is, and I think one of the biggest examples of this is the Divas Revolution storyline, which began a number of months ago on television. And I think it all really started when Stephanie McMahon announced this revolution. And I kind of looked at him going, why? Because the way that I look at it, and here's my idea of what a revolution is. A revolution is a changing of the guard, right? It's out with the old, in with the new. So why is it that the principal owner of WWE is announcing this? Why can't it just be a revolution created by wrestlers, you know?
Exactly. Why can't it be these strong, beautiful, powerful, talented women rising up and saying, no, we're not going to take this treatment. We're going to show you how good we are and how kick-ass we are. Instead of being like, oh, here's a revolution. Here are basically all of the women on TV in one storyline together. Therefore, you guys can't complain anymore, right? Because here are all the divas. No, it doesn't work like that. Because you can't just throw 9 people into one storyline without it being just a meaningless clusterfuck. Like a lot of these, like, multiple person tags end up being a clusterfuck because there's no clear direction. You can have these teams, but they need to be involved in like single storylines, maybe a tag team storyline, because you need to be able to draw sympathy and empathy from your fans on multiple levels. My favorite example is I use the 4 Horsemen as the example. You had 4 guys but you had them involved, even though they're on the same team. They were all involved in different storylines. You had Ric Flair doing his thing. You had Arn and Ole Anderson doing their thing. And whoever was in that fourth slot, like Sting or Lex Luger or Barry Windham, even though they would help the others on occasion, they all had their own things going on. So it's possible to have these three stables, groups, if you will, but have them all have their own things going on.
You could, but at the same time, why did it have to be broken up into stables to begin with? It just seems like we're segmenting these groups without any sort of rhyme or reason. Personally, I would have liked to have the NXT call-ups be their own collective faction. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that would have made it a little bit more like a revolution as opposed to just another story.
True. I mean, the way they kind of broke it up was a bit arbitrary in that it was very high schoolish. Oh, these are the Bellas, these are the popular girls, and they're the girls that got all the attention. They're the head cheerleaders. They're the most visible, so they're going to be one team. And you're going to have these other girls, the new girls. Two of them are going to be the good girls. They're going to be with Paige because they're anti-establishment and they're against the popular people, so they're going to be their own little group. And then you have the bad girls. You have Naomi and Tamina who are being their own bad bitches. So let's add NXT's bad bitch, and they're the bad girls. Like that's really all it is. It's very cliquey. It's very high school, and there wasn't really a lot of story actually behind it. Team Bad has done a great job of trying to cultivate their own. In creating their own team, but other than that, it's pretty blah in terms of the teams, and I really want to see them kind of break this up and just have the open division and have the various storylines pulling from all the girls.
I'd say it's a fair idea, especially after this past Monday and the Divas titles match, which was a good match. I'm not taking anything away from the work involved. The ending, though, made a lot of people very angry. It pissed a lot of people off, understandably so.
Both of us included.
Oh yeah, and I told you last night that I wasn't angry that Nikki retained because I knew that result going in. I'm angry because she retained in the worst way that she could, especially when you're trying to build heat for this Divas Revolution, quote unquote.
Exactly. They used a finish. They tried to use a finish, which is an ending, that they've used many times, which the Bellas call twin magic, which is when they try and pull a switcheroo. But Nikki and Brie kind of don't really look like twins anymore. So how are we supposed to buy that?
They don't, and Brie, they have it going like, oh, Brie stuffs her top and her bottoms to make her look more voluptuous like Nikki, but it's like, no, this is ridiculous.
Exactly. And they have it backfire for once because it always seems to work, which I don't get. But it backfires and Charlotte rolls up for the win and actually wins and starts to celebrate with the title. And then Stephanie, who at this point had been a de facto face because she's trying to change things or something, but then she comes out and reverses it, and it's like, oh, now there you go, having to try and insert yourself into the storyline again, Steph. Thank you.
Yeah, her alignment makes no sense. Like she can't play this face and then go into heel. You have to pick a side. Are you this fair, reasonable authority figure, or are you this tyrannical being that wants to make the lives of all the other wrestlers miserable? You have to choose a side.
We have to pick. You have to pick one. And you can't, as an authority figure, keep just inserting yourself into the storyline, because if you look at the Divas Revolution, she's the one who said she was starting it. I'm like, I'm sorry, are you a wrestler? And now she's inserting herself into this decision, which is really just a de facto way to make this match make sense flowing into the rematch at Night of Champions, when they could have just skipped this whole thing and just given us the match at Night of Champions.
Yeah, WWE wants a roster full of Ronda Rouseys, but they don't want to work for it.
No, they don't. And you need to, like we said, the match wasn't bad. The matches have been consistently doing very, very well.
Hmm.
And they've been given a lot of time lately, which is great. We've even been getting more than one on more than one occasion recently, which is great. But we just want a story that we can follow, that we can get into, and we can have make sense. Another storyline that's just completely pointless and has no direction and keeps changing is the whole Lana, Rusev, Dolph Ziggler, Summer Rae quadrangle, if you will.
Yeah, I feel like the alignments are completely messed up. And I've told you this before. I thought that the storyline would have been better had Lana turned on Rusev maybe after WrestleMania, following his loss to John Cena, and then you'd have Lana manage someone else, manage another foreign, or maybe not even foreign, just a brute monster, tossing Rusev to the side and have Rusev build himself back up and contend with this new force. I thought that would have been a lot more interesting. I thought that would have been a lot more engaging because it's easy to sympathize with someone who, who's had this person by their side for so long, and then really through no fault of their own is left to sort of pick up the pieces.
Yeah, and that would have been a great way because now they're trying to build Rusev back as the face. It seems like, I don't know, it might change
Yeah.
next week.
He's still a babyface in this feud, regardless, to me, because I feel like he's been the most interesting thing in this whole feud, and just the way they've characterized everyone lets me believe that this supposedly misogynistic force is actually the most empathetic person in this entire story.
Which is insanely awful considering what they had with the way they started this with having Rusev mistreat Lana and berate her and all this crap. It's like now you're gonna try and make him look as the baby face, and the fact that we can think he's the
Yeah,
baby face despite all this, it's like, oh my god, this
yeah,
is so fucked up. And then Lana is off with an injury right now. She had surgery on her wrist. And so now her new boyfriend, Dolph Ziggler, is being a schmuck at buttering up Summer Rae. And so it's like, oh, Lana, who's going to be your Prince Charming? Is it going to be the man who berated you and emotionally abused you? Or is it going to be the womanizer? It's like, really, guys? How stereotypical are you going to make the storyline? It's awful.
it is awful. And once again, why, you know, I want to believe that at the end of this, there's got to be an end game where Rusev and Ziggler pull off a double turn, and then maybe Rusev returns to Lana, and they become this face romantic pairing, kind of akin to Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth, albeit maybe a little less attractive.
Uh, I don't want that. I just want everything to go back to the way it was before, and we can pretend this whole thing never happened.
No, no, we can't turn back the clock.
Katie Vick. I mean, what?
We don't mention it in this household. Thank you.
That's an
We,
example of how you can forget something ever happened.
we do not mention her in this household. If you do it again, no dessert for you.
You're gonna take away my ice cream?
Yeah, because you're already hyper enough. You don't need it.
But basically, there's the good parts. We have parts that we can work with. It's not saying this is not salvageable. I just want something that's consistent and makes sense. Not have Dolph Ziggler be in love and all supportive of Lana one week and then being a schmuck the next week.
That's right. That's right. And it goes back to this idea of pro wrestling storylines and how they matter. I mean, we can watch matches. We can go on YouTube and we can look up matches from not just WWE, but from, the vaults of WCW, ECW, Ring of Honor,
All the
etc.
various independent promotions.
Exactly. And we can watch those great matches, but if we don't have a reason to watch them, if there's no rhyme or reason, no motivation, what does it matter?
Exactly. We need a reason to tune in every week. You gotta make us actually want to turn the channel. every Monday.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm going to start reading books.
So, on
No
that
offense to book
note,
readers.
no offense to book readers, we love books. On this note, we'll kind of end, and we'll hope that on Night of Champions, we'll get some sort of resolution to some of these things that have been going so horribly wrong. But we'll see you next week right here. Hold 1005.
Have a good night.
Bye!